today let's start with chapter number 15, that is trade and contact with distant land. So let's study about the Indo-Greek, Shakas, Kushans and Silk. Now here you can see that in 1500 BCE, migration of Aryans into India. Aryans कहाँ है? इंडिया में आए, राइट? पहला अगर 2000 BCE की बात करें, जो लोग हैं इंडस के वैली के, ट्रेड करते थे मेसोपोटामिया के साथ, ठीक है, और कुछ पर्शियन गल्फ के एरिया। फिर 400 BC के बाद आप देखेंगे 300 से 200 BC तक क्या रहे? इंडो ग्रीक्स रहे। 326 में अलेक्जेंडर द ग्रेट आए, उनका इन्वेजन हुआ, राइट? इफ वी टॉक अबाउट फ्रॉम 100 BC टू 400, यहाँ कौन थे? शाखास थे। और आपका 200 से 200 CE, BC से 200 CE तक कौन थे? आपके कुशान्स, राइट? एंड यहाँ से 100 BC से लेकर 500 CE तक उन्होंने करा, ट्रेड करा अलोंग द सी सेंट्रल। नाउ जो डाउनफॉल था मौर्यन एम्पायर वाज द राइज ऑफ मेनी मौर्यन स्टेट दैट इज रूल्ड बाय वेरी वीक किंग। सो ईस्टर्न अगर हम और सेंट्रल इंडिया की बात करें तो पुष्पमित्र शुंगा एक ब्राह्मण ऑफिसर थे, मौर्यन स्टैब्लिश्ड द शुंगा डायनेस्टी आफ्टर किलिंग द लास्ट मुगल मौर्यन किंग बृहद, राइट? शुंगा डायनेस्टी को सक्सीडेड बाय खनवा। इसके बाद आप देखेंगे आगे इंडो ग्रीक्स आए, शाखास आए, कुशान आए। तो इफ वी टॉक अबाउट इंडो ग्रीक्स, दे वर डिसेंडेंट्स ऑफ द ग्रीक जनरल सेल्कस एंड अदर। आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ सेल्कस व्हाट हैपेंड? जो बैक्ट्रियन पार्थिया थे, दे बिकम इंडिपेंडेंट एंड दे इन्वेडेड इंडिया। The most famous Bactrian king was Menander. He ruled from 160 BC to 120 BC and it occupied Indian territories up to Kathiawar and Bharuch, right? Greek influence, इसकी जो कैपिटल थी वो क्या थी? शाकला थी, and it was known as Sialkot in Pakistan, while in India it converted to Buddhism. Now Greek influence to India. पहले हम आर्ट की बात करें, यहाँ पे एक स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट है, गंधार स्कूल कहते हैं। इट इज डेवलप्ड बाय गंधार व्हाइल सब्जेक्ट्स एंड आइडियाज ऑफ गंधार वर इंडियन, राइट? नाउ कॉइन्स एंड इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ इंडो-ग्रीक कॉइनेज, पर्टिकुलर सिल्वर एंड कॉइनेज, दे आर फाउंड इन द कॉइन्स एंड दे आर इशूड बाय सम लोकल। और इनको कौन इशू करता था? कुछ लोकल रूलर जो होते थे वो इशू करते थे। देन वी हैव शाखास दैट ड्राइव आउट देयर होमलैंड बाय द Yan-Chi tribe living outside China. So what happened over and the Prathiyars, the most famous of the Shaka ruler of Western India, it was Rundrab, right? Who checked the Satavahan expansion in Western India. After he ruled not only Sindh but also over Gujarat, Konkan, Narmada Valley, कुछ मालवा वाले। So Kushans जो थे like Shakas, Kushans also were nomadic tribe. The Kushan rule is particularly significant because under them civilization of Mediterranean world, Western India, Central Asia and India merged together. So the most popular Kushan ruler was Kanishk, particularly because of his association with Buddhism. His period is historically significant of general cultural development in North India as well as intermingling of people from different geographical regions. अलग अलग geographical region से लोग आ रहे थे, वो intermingle कर रहे थे, right? The first capital of Kanishk was Patliputra. The first capital of Kanishk was Purushparna, आपके modern पेशावर में था, where he erected a monastery and a huge stupa. Mathura appears to have been second capital. अगर हम कुषाण का influence देखें India, what were its influence? Kanishk encouraged art and literature. Ashwaghosh was a famous Sanskrit scholar who lived in the court of Kanishk and he wrote Buddha Charita. He wrote Buddha Charita and your Sondranand. He attended Buddhist council organized by Kanishk. Vashumitra, Chark and Nagararjun, they were the scholars in the court of Kanishk, and Chark wrote a book called Chark Samhita that described various plants and herbs used in medicine. इसमें क्या बताते हैं कि अलग अलग plants और जो herbs हम use करते हैं medicine, इसमें उसके बारे में। The Kushans patronized Gandhar school of art and which was developed as a result of intermingling of Indian foreign ideas. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ था कि जो इंडियन है और जो फॉरेन के जो आइडियाज है उनको इंटरमिंग करा, right? And the Gandhar style spread to Mathura, which was already a great center of art, and Buddhist already a great center of art, which many of these sculptures are made up of red stone found in the region. A well-known Mathura sculpture that is headless statue of Kanishk. The Kushan were also known for their gold and copper coins. इफ वी टॉक अबाउट कॉइन्स, यहाँ पे आपको गोल्ड, कॉपर और कुछ सिल्वर कॉइन देखने को मिलेंगे, एंड दे आर इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर 3 रीजन. व्हाई दे वर इम्पोर्टेंट? ये जो कॉइन्स थे क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट थे? फर्स्ट इज टू इंडिकेट द वास्टनेस ऑफ द एम्पायर, इट शो टॉलरेंट, एंड कॉइन हैड प्रॉपर शेप एंड इमेज मेड बाय देम. राइट. ट्रेड की बात करें, कुशान्स वर इंस्ट्रूमेंटल इन एनकरेजिंग इंडिया ट्रेड विद सेंट्रल एशिया, and they came to control the most important trade route, namely silk. Right. Then we have trade route. Trade from other countries like Rome, Arabia came to India by ships and across land in caravans to buy goods such as spices, sandalwood, silk, and muslin. So what happened? Many Roman gold coins have been found in South India. It testified and flourishing trade relation between two countries. तो साउथ इंडिया जो था वो किसके लिए फेमस था? फॉर गोल्ड एंड प्रीशियस स्टोन्स एंड स्पाइसेस. And paper was especially valued in the Roman Empire, and it was known as black gold. इसको हम black gold कहते थे. We can find list of goods throughout with Puhar and important port in the coast of Sangam poem. Horses, black pepper, gems, gold, sandalwood, pearls, corals, crops, and other foodstuffs. And the traders traveled in boats along the coast. And what happened? Some traders explored new sea route, traders and monsoon winds, right? And they timed their journey to sail along the monsoon. So what happens? Ships sailing from the southern end of Red Sea should wait for a southwest monsoon to pass before it. The traders desirous to travel across the Bay of Bengal along the use the northeast monsoon to reach the east coast. So क्या कहाँ पहुँच सके? ईस्ट कोस्ट पे पहुँच सके और मानसून जो था वो रिटर्न हो सके. Now silk route. Technique of making silk was first discovered in China around 700 years ago. जो चाइनीज पीपल थे, दे केप्ट द टेक्निक्स क्लोजली गार्डेड सीक्रेट्स एंड वेंट टू सिल्क रोड टू डिस्टेंस, और वो डिस्टेंट लैंड पे जाते हैं, राइट. एंड दे केम टू बी नोन एज सिल्क रूट, एंड द लैंड रूट वाज थ्रू ईरान एंड वेस्ट एशिया टू रोमन. और जो ग्लोसी शाइन और स्मूथ टेक्सचर था आपका सिल्क क्लॉथ का, इट वाज अट्रैक्टेड बाय द रिच पीपल ऑफ रोमन एम्पायर एंड वाज वेरी एक्सपेंसिव. द ट्रेडर बॉट इट अलॉन्ग dangerously, right. About 2000 years ago, wearing silk cloth became a fashion among the rulers and rich people in Central Asia, West Asia, and Roman Empire. Silk was highly valued fabric in most societies. So the silk route became famous, and some king tried to control large portion of the route to benefit from taxes. मतलब taxes, tributes, gift ना देने पड़े, तो उसके लिए वो क्या करते थे? इसको लार्ज पोर्शन को देते. The Kushan ruled over Central Asia and Northwest India around 2000. Their capital was Peshawar, और second capital क्या थी? मैंने आपको बताई थी, मथुरा. So silk was also sent from China by sea along the southeastern island of Asia. अब हम कुछ kings और rulers की बात करते हैं. So we can say that hills, plateau, rivers, valley, they along the coastline mark the southern half of the subcontinent. So Kaveri is the most fertile river valley, then the other river valley. Chief and king who control the river valley and the coast become rich and powerful, right? Sangam poems use one word Movender for the chief or heads or three main ruling families of South. We have Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas. Right? They become powerful in South India around 2300 years ago and ruled up to about 1800 years ago. What happened? Each of the three chiefs, two centers of power, one inland and one other is coast. So we can say that two were important, Puha or Kaveri Patna, and Madurai, the capital of Pandyas, and collections of regular texts was in practice. ठीक है, ये practice में हमने देखा. And received gift from the people. They also went on military expedition and collected tributes from neighboring area. They kept some of the wealth and distributed the rest among their supporters. The poet used to compose poems in praise of chiefs who were rewarded them with precious stones, gold, horses, elephants, chariots, and fighters. Right. Next is Satvahana dynasty become very powerful in Western India around 200 years later. Most important Satvahana ruler was कौन थे आपके? गौतमी पुत्र श्री सतकर्णी. He ruled over Western Empire, the part of Central India. He and other Satavahan rulers were known as Lords of Dakshipatna. जिसका मतलब क्या होता है? Lord of route leading to south and the Lord of the entire southern region. He sent his army. वो अपनी आर्मी को भेजे थे. Satavahan kingdom lasted between 21 years ago and 1700 years ago. Now spread of Buddhism. अगर हम बुद्धिज्म की बात करें, Kanishk was the most famous Kushan ruler who ruled around 1900 years ago. He organized a Buddhist council और जितने भी important matters होते थे they were discussed by the scholars. Right? Buddhist scholars they started writing with other Sanskrit his time and new और आपका एक नया फॉर्म ऑफ बुद्धिज्म आया जिसका नाम था महायान बुद्धिज्म. राइट? इसका मतलब था ग्रेटर वीकर एंड वी हैव महायान स्कूल आल्सो. Earlier certain signs were used. Earlier क्या होता? Certain signs were used in sculptures to show Buddha's presence. His attainment or enlightenment was shown by sculpture of the people. The tree and the empty seed below it indicated that Buddha has attained enlightenment while meditating under the tree. So in Mathura and Gandhar, statues of Buddha and Bodhisattvas were made. Right? Belief in Buddhists and the worship began to Buddhists was supposed to be light. Now they could live in complete isolation and they meditate in the peace and however they choose to remain among the people to teach and help them. What they show their gratitude, people started worshipping and worship of Buddhists became very popular and what they spread throughout the Central Asia and China. The old form of Buddhism, now called Hainan, did not believe in idol worship, right? Buddhist rulers built many stupas and viharas and dozens of caves were hollowed out of hills of monks to live in the western and southern India. These caves have often located their passes through western Ghats and the traders also halted these caves monasteries on their way to and through the coast. It was because roads connecting the prosperous ports on the coast with cities in the Deccan ran through these passes. Now, quest of the pilgrim. If we talk about the quest of the pilgrim, so India and the West came closer after the foreign invasion. A close trade relation developed between India and China, Europe, Greece, Iran. Right? It intervened river system, which was proving helpful for the trade and commerce. Foreign traders was the later on came the India's pilgrim. Sarfayan, a Chinese pilgrim who, during his reign of Chandragupta II, his primary aim was to visit Buddhist centers. उनका primary aim क्या था? Buddhist centers पे visit करना. He entered India through Peshawar and they moved toward Patliputra. He stayed at Patliputra and what he learned Sanskrit over there. Right? He was vegetarian and educated and benevolent. If return to journey of Fayan, अब हम return to journey की बात करते हैं Fayan की. So it was boarded a merchant ship from Bengal. After 2 days, they faced a storm. It was difficult to sail and he threw away all his personal belongings but clung to his books and the statues of Buddha. 13 days later, what happened? The storm था वो तो stop हो गया. And 90 days, they reached Java and they broke the journey of 5 months and then boarded another merchant ship for China. Right? Next is center of Buddhist learning. Nalanda was the most famous Buddhist monastery at that time when Juail came to subcontinent. He spent many years studying there, right? And over 5,000 students studied subjects like grammar, mathematician, besides religion and philosophy. Zhuang wrote that the teachers were meant to the highest ability and talent. Now the beginning of bhakti. The mode of worship underwent. जो mode of worship था, it underwent a change from sacrifice, Brahmanism, and moved to idol worship. This was a time of transformation. जब जो आपकी ancient Brahminical faith था, वो किसमें convert हो गया था? Modern Hinduism and gained popularity. Right? Goddess such as Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, lesser goddess like Indra, Varun, Yama, they also remain the object of worship. Devotion bhakti become important. Beautiful idol of Vishnu, Varaha, incarnation, and the 12-armed Lakshmi. They are the example of this development, and all these deities were worshipped. So people started making all sorts of offerings to the gods to win their favor. During early period, apart from male gods and their wives, we can say they were also worshipped, and bhakti is generally understood by a person devotion chosen deity. Anybody, either rich or poor, चाहे वो rich हो, चाहे poor हो, चाहे वो high caste का हो, चाहे low caste का हो, and women हो, they all follow path of bhakti. A sacred book that is Bhagavad Gita of Hindus, regarded as the true philosophical song, and it included Mahabharata. Krishna, the god that asked Arjun and his Arjuna, a devotee and his friend, to abandon dharma. And this form of worship is gradually spread to different parts of the country. अलग-अलग parts जो थे country के वहाँ पे spread हो जाते हैं. Right? The carving of images led to the growth of what? Freestanding temples where images could be easily installed and seen. And such temples can be seen at Sachi. The arrival of Brahmanism is also marked by the increase of religious writing. So the Ramayana, which symbolized the triumph and the rightness over evil, was probably compiled during this time. And various smritis were also written, and the skilled artisan of this age used these skills to express their ideas and their philosophical tradition. And they decorated corners of the religious places with thousands of god and goddess, although God took human form. What God took? Human form, 8 arms, 4 or 8 arms, each carrying a symbol of attribute. Right? Bhakti inspired some of the best experience in the art, sculpture, poetry, and painting of gods and goddess was highly developed during this time. If we talk about another part of world, Jesus Christ preached his religion. कहाँ? West Asia में. कहाँ born हुए थे? Bethlehem में. He taught people to treat others with love, kindness, and trust. Just they themselves wanted to be treated. He taught in simple language using short stories. Right? So the first Christian preacher came from West Asia to west coast of the subcontinent with 100 years of his death. Right? And the Christians of Kerala were Syria Christians. And do you know, the first known democracy of the world, just like Republic, was born in Athens. And it is a city-state of ancient Greece. Right? Now this is all in this chapter. Hope you understood. Now we will move to the exercise. Now first take the correct option. Technique of making silk was first invented in China. Silk was in high demand in modern empire. China patta, it is a type of cloth. Tamil Kam was a territory of South India. A meeting of poets and scholars was called Sangam. Now fill in the blanks. Raw silk was extracted from the cocoon of silkworm. The Chinese pilgrim Fayan visited India during Gupta rule. Dash was the greatest ruler of Satvahana dynasty. Gautamiputra. Dash is the book of fine Sanskrit poetry. Buddha Charita. The headless status of Kanishk. जो headless status है कनिष्क का, वो किसका वर्क था? It is the work of Mathura School of Art. Now write T for true and F for false statement. Sangam literature is mentioned about Movender. It's true. Zhu Zhang was a Chinese pilgrim. It's true. Kanishk encouraged art and economics. It's true. The Kanishk were famous as nomadic tribe. False. Mahayana is a branch of Buddhism. It's true. Now match the following. Zuyan, Chinese pilgrim. Zuyan, that is Chinese pilgrim. Movenders, that Choras, Cheras, Pandyas. Right? Lord of Dakshini Patma, that is Satvahan ruler. Ashwaghosh, Mahayan Buddhism, and this is Buddhism. Next is answer the following question. Who was Movendra and who were Alvans? What is Silk Route? Sangam literature क्या है? Right, next is same question. What is Sangam literature? Who were Satvahans? And 3 chief features आपको बताने हैं इनके. Name the Indian parts which handle trade with other country. और आपको role बताना है कनिष्क. कनिष्क का क्या role था in spreading Buddhism? Right, this you have to do. Now the chapter has been completed. Hope you understood. Now we will meet in the next class. Thank you.